Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of my review. These are reviews and less about recaps. If you're watching this, you have watched the episode already. Definitely reviews. What is happening? It's like I'm like a teenage boy losing my voice. Let me go get some water. Welcome to my review of Married at First Sight. This is episode 3, Strangers in Paradise. So as I was trying to say before, I'm definitely going to be doing reviews of this show, not recaps. So you're not going to get a play-by-play of what happened, but more so about the couples and relationships and my general fears and worries about being in relationships and having to deal with someone and making room for someone in my life. That's how I've decided that I'm going to approach this show, because I really feel like they're real people who are trying to do something that is experimental, but is definitely big in their lives. And I want to give it a certain amount of respect. That being said, if they do something crazy, we're gonna talk about it. What did I think of this episode overall? I like this episode. I thought it gave us some really interesting insights on how strangers would behave when they're on vacation together. One of the things that you hear often is like, if you want to know how someone is, travel with them. And I like that this is something that is happening very early on in this process. I like the fact that these couples got to meet each other. I think them sharing experiences will be helpful to the process and is interesting. So let's first talk about the Lincoln couple. The thing that mainly stood out to me in the Lincoln couple, which I now know their names are Will and Jasmine. Mainly the thing that sticks out to me the most is when Jasmine said that she expected them to be 70-30. She's an independent woman who owns her own home and pays all her bills by herself. And she gets married and wants to be in a 70-30 partnership where she pays 30% and he pays 70%. I don't know if she is planning on quitting her job. I don't know if she makes significantly less than him, but I feel like when you're a homeowner, you tend to make some kind of money to where you can pay for that home, or somebody would give you a loan for a home. So in the beginning of their conversation, she asks him what he thinks of gender roles. And he says, oh yeah, I'm all about gender roles. Can you cook? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, great, then that's all, great. And she's just looking at him like, and I was looking at him like, Will, like, you're gonna expect her to cook every single meal? That is a lot to cook every single meal, okay? Especially for somebody who works, it's a lot. So then Will says, just kidding. I'm not about gender roles, traditional gender roles. I know there's things around the house that I'm going to have to do, like take off the trash and certain things. And I don't expect you to cook every day, especially if you come home from an 8-hour work day. And she was like, oh, okay, good. Then they talked about bills. And she said, well, what about the bills? And he said, oh yeah, 50-50. And she was just like, no, I need a man who provides for me. And I think that it should be something like 70-30. And he's confused because they just finished talking about the fact that they weren't into traditional gender roles, and she agreed that she wasn't into that, but it seems as though she is into traditional gender roles. And she's like, no, I'll cook, I'll clean. So it was very confusing. I don't understand what she's going to do with her 70% if all she's willing to contribute to the household bills is 30%. I don't know if she wasn't explaining herself well. I just don't know what that looks like. I obviously understand marriages and gender roles based on the examples that I have seen in my life. My dad was responsible for the mortgage, he was responsible for the insurances, and I think he was responsible for like car upkeep and like house maintenance stuff. I mean, obviously my mother would give him money on stuff like that. It's not like she was like, well, the, radiator's broken, you pay that. Like car expenses and stuff were like pooled, right? But it was his job to make sure that the cars were watered and fed. I don't understand exactly what Jasmine is going to give towards this house, because obviously she has her hair and nail and upkeep, right? That's going to cost money. I don't know if she brings any debt into this. I don't know everything that she has going on, but what is she doing with her 70% that she can't contribute more to the whole pile? Is she gonna save part of her 70%? Like maybe Will isn't going to do any savings and it's going to be on her to provide their savings, because once you're married, everything is like joint. If you have conversations about, okay, I don't want to pay your debt, you pay off your own debt, and I'll take on a little bit more bills so you can pay down your debt, or something, there needs to be some kind of compromise. But 70-30 doesn't make sense unless one person makes way less than the other person, or has like a part-time job, or doesn't work at all. I don't understand what she's expecting from him when she already pays for everything herself. Even her paying 50% is still her saving money and not having to pay 100% because she's now with him. I just needed her to be more clear about what she was saying, because it sounds crazy, but I want to give her the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe there's something else that I'm not thinking. For her to say that he needs to pay 70% of the bill and she'll pay 30%, I want to know what she's going to be doing with her 70%. If it's not going towards savings for the both of them for their future, then I don't agree with this at all. Because I'm an independent woman and I don't necessarily want my husband to pay for everything, because any help I get is going to be help. In my opinion, I think that Keith and Christine aren't evenly yoked. I think that Christine makes more money than Keith. And she can be okay with that, because I think I would be okay with that too, knowing that I'm going to be paying the majority of the bills. But I do think that those gender roles, then that turns everything upside down. If I'm paying the majority of the bill in a relationship that I'm in, my husband is cooking and cleaning. That is what he is doing to make up for the fact. I'm not saying I'm a slob and I'm never going to do anything and I'm not going to clean up after myself, but he's responsible for the majority of the cleaning in the house. I don't care how often he works. I mean, obviously it just depends on each couple individually. Like, you never really know what's going on in a marriage. You never know how a household is kept up. So I'm not saying that these things are set in stone. I just think that Jasmine's like initial assessment and statements about this is ludicrous. So the next couple that I want to talk about is AJ and Stephanie, and I think that they are fine together. They're lovely together. They're having a good time. Stephanie's got a great little body girl and they were snorkeling. I was like, okay, Stephanie, okay. Looking cute. And I think that they're having a great time. I have nothing to say about them. It's admirable that they're able to get along as well. And I'm like, thank God, girl, because AJ would get on my nerves. On my nerves. But that's just his personality, and it just wouldn't mesh well with me. I don't think he's a bad person. He just wouldn't be the right person for me. I do think it's weird that Stephanie slept in her makeup. I was like, why do you have makeup on, girl? And I also thought it was really cute that AJ mentioned that he felt like he knew Stephanie for a week. And I was like, it was a funny little joke, because obviously they only know each other for a day. But I felt like they were really growing and getting comfortable with each other, because they're both really open to the process. And they had sex. They're the only couple that we heard of so far that have sex. I know obviously Keith and Christine are gonna have sex, because girl, you can tell they want to. Okay, so the situation with Lincoln and the ATV, like, I was really let down with him about that. He's like, I don't know how to turn this off. I'm like, then you needed to be yelling for the people who were showing you guys around for them to stop and come and help your wife who's like falling into a ditch. Will completely let me down at that point, but I think that later on what happened between them when they were eating, and I just think, I don't know, do you guys feel like Jasmine is putting on her expectation and her attitude very early on? There's something about her that makes me think that she's combative and that she's not willing to budge and make room for him in her life. It feels like she wants him, or she wants to shape him into the person she wants. Because, like, I don't know. There's something about it. Like, he let me down with the ATV, but everything else about the way she, like, said stuff to him and kind of behaved, it was like, she's like, I'm a catch, and you just need to catch up. And I just don't like that. But we'll see. I do love the fact that she wore her headscarf. I was like, yes, girl, because Christine's over there acting like she ain't got to protect her hair. I'm like, that's why Jasmine's hair is thick and luscious and looks good in her weave. And Christine don't got no edges. I'm gonna need Christine to put her scarf on so we can keep her little hair intact. Let's just move on to Keith and Christine. They've got a lot of chemistry, girl. A lot. And Keith farted, which I don't know. I mean, even saying the word girl. Keith pooted, and I mean, he's getting really comfortable. Like I said, I don't think that they're evenly yoked, and I think of Keith as low-key being a bum. And I'm not saying that he is, you know, but I'm saying that, like, there's something about him that seems very lazy. And I think that they're in the honeymoon phase, literally. I think once Christine gets him home and he has to become a partner with her, I don't think that he's going to be a good partner, because I don't think he understands what it would take to do that. I think that he's a little bit too spoiled and a little bit of a mama's grandma's boy. You know what I'm saying? He's like, the only kind of working out I'd like to do is on the couch with the remote control. And I'm just like, you're not active at all? Like, you don't have to be super active, but like at all, and you're not willing to budge? I don't know, there's something about him that seems like he doesn't want to change. Like, he's just been coddled and made to believe that he's fine the way he is and he just needs to find a woman to fit him. Like, him and Jasmine are giving me the same vibes, a little bit, right? Like, they're not open to growing and learning and being better people and making room for someone in their life. Christine feels really comfortable with him, and I'm just like, but this scene on camera, girl, we didn't need this. I just don't need to see, like, people kissing and making out, like, in a bathtub with soapy water. I just don't need to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm not interested in seeing it. The last couple that we're going to talk about is Luke and Kate. I thought her name was something else. It's not whatever I thought it was before. Luke is mean. Kate is one of the, like, nicest little people that I have ever met, and she's really trying to be open to this process, and he is fighting it every step of the way. He didn't want to kiss her at their wedding because it was too much pressure. He felt like it was moving too fast and that he normally takes his time. So on their honeymoon, it's like he's traveling with a new friend. He even suggested that he would sleep on the couch while she could take the bed. And I thought to myself, has he never seen this show? Is that normal? Because I've never seen this show and I felt like that wasn't normal. He just, like, doesn't want the pressure of having to make this thing work. He wants to take his time and go slow. But this process isn't about that. This process is about jumping in feet first and figuring it out and making the hard decisions and choosing to say yes to your partner and then having conversation. That's what it seems like to me. But I don't think that Luke thinks that. He thinks that he's going to mold this process into something that's going to work for him without even thinking about what his partner wants, what Kate wants. He's nitpicking her. She then tells him, you know, you can sleep in the bed with me. And he's like, okay. They go to get into the bed and he's like, I shower before bed. And she's like, oh, I'm a morning shower. And he's like, oh, you go to bed dirty? And he started to laugh and she was like, I'm a morning shower. And I was just like, that is rude. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, when I think about people not showering before bed, and even me, when I don't shower before the bed, I think, oh my God, I'm going to bed dirty. I'm going to have to, like, change my sheets tomorrow. I know that people think that, but then to tell your new spouse that's rude. No? And then the next morning when she's getting ready to shower, she's like, oh, do you want to shower first? He's like, no, I showered last night. I don't go to bed dirty. You go to bed dirty. And I was just like, if you're trying to take things slow, then this is the courting part. And you're not courting her right now. You're just judging her. They're just awkwardly drinking Fiji water afterwards. All the other couples are open to conversation and to, like, talking. It's like how does he act on a first date? Why doesn't he just pretend this is a first date and talk to her like you would to someone on a first, second, third date? None of those things are happening. And I feel really bad for Kate. Also, the next day, she has, I guess, too many coffees, and he comments on the fact that she's unable to control herself. Like, you don't take things in moderation. What? That is crazy. Then he really loves sloths, so they go to a conservatory where there's animals, and it's hot, and she doesn't necessarily want to be there. I can imagine that it smells, and it wouldn't be something that I'm up to, but she's a better sport than me, and, you know, she's trying to be involved. He's just looking for all the things that are wrong with her and wants to point them out and tell her about it, and I don't like it. He's also really judgy of AJ. Like, when all the couples get together and they see that all the couples are having a good time, he is like, I think, jealous that AJ and Stephanie are getting along, but then he's like, oh, I'm really surprised because, you know, his attitude is a lot, but Stephanie seems to like it. And I'm just like, you're catty. Okay, that's a catty thing to say. You know that AJ's gonna watch the show, right? Like, everyone else said positive things about the other couples, and you say that you're surprised Stephanie likes AJ because, okay. Great. And then later on at their last meal, she says to him, it's really been bothering me that you haven't kissed me. You haven't made an effort to kiss me at all. She brought it up and she was brave enough to talk about it and say what it is that she wants. And I think that's really adult of her to, like, put out what it is that she expects from him. And just to let him know, like, hey, I'm ready to kiss when you are. Like, you haven't even kissed me. And we've now been with each other for 4 days. And I know you want to take things slow, but that is concerning for me. And I'm like, thank you, Kate. Thank you for using your words. Thank you for explaining how you feel. And Luke's response to her is, oh, you want to talk about that right now? Wow, you got really honest really fast. That statement makes it seem like she said to him, I really hate your morning breath, and I hate the fact that you have cold feet in the bed. Like, that's her being really honest really fast. Her saying, like, I would like for us to kiss. I would like to be affectionate with my husband. Is not her being really honest really fast. It's her just letting you know where she's at and communicating. That's called communicating, Luke. I don't like him. And I know that he's probably a nice person, but this whole experience has got him topsy. My face, I am sweating. I would be so sad if I were Kate. And I think that the experts did her a disservice by setting her up with Luke. He's not good under pressure. He's not nice under pressure. There's something blocking him and he needs therapy to get over it. So I really hope we see better things from him. I don't think we are based on the previews. But I don't know what is blocking him, but he's not ready for this process. And I think that the experts need to do a little bit more vetting or a little bit more probing. Because I know somebody can just say what they're doing, but I don't know. I just want part of me wishes that the experts were watching them and could like intervene and say, hey, you're doing this. Hey, what's up with that? Because they're going to need help, especially Luke and Kate. If they thought they would do well together, I wish that the judges or the experts were able to intervene and just like have a quick check-in with them and talk about what's going on and why things are happening. If they really thought that these two should be together, I need them to prove it. And help them to get to the place they need to be so that they can be what they need to be for each other. It's literally my worst nightmare to be with somebody who acts like they want to be with me on the surface, but then when it comes to like one-on-one time, they can't be bothered to communicate with me or talk to me or tell me how they're feeling. But when we're out and about, they're very much like hanger on and like, this is my girl and she's like great. Like, I need somebody who can be who I need them to be behind closed doors. And then we can worry about out in public. I don't need it the opposite way around. All right, so that's everything that I have to say about this episode. And I'm really excited for this process and watching people because I really do feel like it helps me so that when one day, if I am in a relationship, I can know what not to do. And I can try to break down my barriers to be a better partner to somebody. And so I think that I'm getting something out of this, like by watching Luke fail and by watching Jasmine roll her eyes and having unrealistic expectations or expectations that I find to be like a little too much, and just like learning to talk with somebody. Yeah, there's hard lines, but like if you really are trying to make space for someone in your life, then like you'll make space for them. Like you can say yes to somebody right now and then reevaluate later on how you want things to happen. You know? It's like when you work in an office with a group of people or you're trying to like do a team project. It's the same thing. Essence. You know. All right, you guys. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's have a kiki down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, what things you liked, what things you didn't like. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, just let me know. All right. Let's have a cool, calm, level-headed conversation. All right. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.